If you're not wholesaling creative finance deals, you are missing out on a huge opportunity in your wholesale business. In fact, in my own wholesale business with my partners, just in the past year, we've doubled our wholesale volume with the same leads, might I add, simply by offering agents and sellers a creative offer when cash isn't the best or ideal solution. The fact of the matter is, once you learn how to identify and structure creative deals, you can wholesale those deals for a premium. And since there's so much to cover on this topic, I've decided to create an entire playlist specifically about wholesaling creative deals so you too can master the process and double your deal volume. I'll put the playlist link in the description box below, and as I do more content about wholesaling creative, I'll add those videos to that playlist. On this video, you're gonna look over my shoulder and watch how my team just wholesaled this creative deal in Panama City, Florida for a $23,000 assignment. Now this will be a comprehensive breakdown because, as I like to do here on my channel, this isn't just about theory, it's real-world application using a real deal. By the way, if you get a hot lead or a good deal, creative or otherwise, along the Gulf Coast between Pensacola and Tallahassee, Florida, my boots-on-the-ground partner, Chris Allen, is one of the best of the best. If you're a cash buyer or a wholesaler looking to JV, reach out to Chris. We'd love to network with you. I'll put his info in the description box below as well. And if you don't know me, I'm Jerry Norton. I make millions of dollars a year wholesaling and flipping real estate. And here on my YouTube channel, I show you how to do the same. So if you want to be a flipping genius like me and live your dream life, subscribe to my channel and watch my videos. So let's talk about wholesaling this creative deal in Florida. This house was listed for sale with a real estate agent for $329,000, and we ended up making a full price seller finance offer. And even after offering full price, we still wholesaled the deal for a $23,000 profit. Now think about that. Listed with an agent, full price offer, wholesaled it for $23,000. Why? Because the seller finance terms were very attractive for an investor. Remember, with creative, it's not about the price, it's about the terms. It's all about the terms, which we'll get into in a minute, so keep watching. But first, I want to make some very important points about wholesaling creative. Wholesaling in general is about understanding who your ideal buyer is and what a good deal looks like for him or her, and then sourcing and finding those deals for them for a profit. With creative deals, your ideal buyer is typically an investor who wants to hold the asset long-term as a rental. So you have to learn and understand how to evaluate or underwrite a rental property. To simplify and standardize this analysis process, I created a creative financing calculator. So let me show you how it works using our deal as a case study, but be sure to stay to the end of this video because I'll show you how to get this calculator for free. Step one is to determine the best use of the property. Now, most properties will be long-term rentals, but depending on the location and the market, some properties might be better used as short-term rentals. You'll see on my calculator you have both options as well as single-family or multifamily. Your job as a wholesaler is to do your research and find out what the average going rents are in that area. In this market along the Gulf Coast, since it's a high vacation area, most of the properties we wholesale are better used as short-term rentals, but this property made the most sense as a long-term rental.
Here, Dad, I drawed you this picture.
Oh, hi, Evie. I love it. Look at that. Those are so pretty. Can I hang this up with my other drawings you did?
Yep.
Right here?
Bye.
That was really sweet. Love you, honey. Okay,
Love you too.
I'll see you later. Step two is to calculate the gross monthly rent. Now, using a site called rentometer.com, Chris found 3 similar rental comps nearby. This one for $2,900 a month, this one for $2,500 a month, and this one for $2,950 a month. And since our property is in really good condition, we went with $2,950 for the monthly gross rent. Okay, step 3 is to determine the net operating income, or NOI. NOI is the income after operating expenses, but before factoring in debt service. Now, to calculate NOI, you have to know what the expenses are. The biggest are going to be property insurance, property taxes, and property management. Now, also add in some vacancy and maintenance and repairs. A good rule of thumb is operating expenses should come in around 30% of gross rent. Okay, step 4 is where things get fun because we need to figure out the debt service using creative financing. Now, on this deal, since the seller owns the property free and clear and doesn't have any existing debt, the creative method is seller financing or owner financing. That means the seller is going to act as the bank on his own property. Now I'll do other case studies using subject to, which is when the seller has an existing loan already in place. On this deal, like I said, we made a full price offer of $329,000, but we only offered $20,000 as the down payment, which is only 6% of the sale price. Now clearly zero down would be the best, but in most cases the seller is going to want what we call skin in the game, and 10% to 20% down is pretty common, so only putting 6% down was a big win. Now the interest rate Chris negotiated was 5.5% with a 40-year amortization and a 6-year balloon. Let me explain what all that means and why those terms are so good. You have to keep in perspective the comparison between creative financing and traditional financing. As of this recording, if an investor were to buy this property with traditional financing, aside from having to personally qualify with job history, credit history, and all of the brain damage involved in getting a bank loan, aside from all of that, an investor would have to put 20 to 30% down. This deal is only 6% down. An investor would get a rate today at 7 to 8%. This deal is only 5.5%. And the bank would require a 30-year mortgage. And if it was a commercial loan, it would probably be a 20-year mortgage. Chris negotiated a 40-year loan, making the monthly payments even lower. All of this means a buy and hold investor trying to build a portfolio can get into this deal with no qualifying and better terms. That's what I mean by saying it's often more about the terms than anything else. So our debt service comes to $1,594 a month or $19,125 a year. And that takes us to step 5, which is to calculate the net cash flow. The net cash flow is what's left after paying the operating expenses and the debt service. And what's cool is my creative calculator automatically does it for you, and that number comes to about $480 a month, which is great, but cash flow is not always the most important thing for buy and hold investors. It certainly helps, who doesn't want positive cash flow, but we'll talk about the different benefits in a minute. For now, let's move to step 6, which is calculating the wholesale fee. Now, a general rule of thumb is that for every $100 a month in net cash flow, you can ask for $2,000 in assignment fee. So a $500 a month net cash flow would be $10,000 in assignment, but there's more to it than just that. It also depends on the condition of the property, the terms of the loan, the total entry fee or amount of cash to get into the deal, and several other factors. This property was in excellent condition, the terms were amazing, and the entry fee was really low, so Chris had zero problems finding a buyer willing to pay $23,000 as a wholesale fee. Okay, step 7 is to calculate the total entry fee. On top of $20,000 as the down payment and a $23,000 assignment fee, the buyer also had to pay approximately $7,500 in total closing fees, which covered prorated taxes, closing and recording fees, title insurance, a lender policy, and we even got the buyer to pay our transaction coordinator fee. All of that the buyer paid, not the wholesaler. So when you add up all of these fees, the buyer had to come up with $50,500 as an entry fee, which comes to only 14% of the total acquisition price. Now my goal with Creative is to try and keep the entry fee under 25%. Now quick side note, the $50,000 doesn't have to be the buyer's own cash. He could borrow that money from a private money lender, so he's got zero of his own money into the deal. But for this video, we're talking about wholesaling the deal, not keeping the deal. So we really don't care how the buyer comes up with the entry fee. We care about making it as low as possible to make the deal as attractive as possible. Okay, now let's talk about some of the other benefits to this deal, and then we'll move on to step 8, to wholesaling a creative deal. It's really important to understand your buyer and all of the things that are important to him or her. Unlike fix and flip investors, the value of the property is usually the least important consideration. The reason is because an investor is holding this property long term. Equity comes and equity goes, but it's still important to understand the different ways of looking at value. If you look at the value box on my calculator, you'll see that on this deal, since the property is fixed up, the as-is value and the ARV value are the same, and it's the price we paid, $329,000. That means from a comparative value point of view, there is no equity in this deal. But from an income perspective, there is. Based on the NOI, the buyer is purchasing the property at a 7% cap rate, and if the market is willing to pay, let's say 5.5% cap rate for a turnkey rental in that location, the value is actually $452,000, meaning it does in fact have equity. Let's also look at the cash-on-cash return. If this property is kicking out $480 a month or $5,775 a year, and the investor only put $50,000 cash into the deal, his cash on cash return is 11%, which is good. There's also one more big benefit often overlooked by wholesalers, and that's the tax benefits. This property produces $11,000 annually in tax savings. That means for an investor who owes taxes, not paying $11,000 is the same as making $11,000. So for the right investor, the tax benefits on this deal might be more valuable than the monthly cash flow. That's why you'll see some investors buy zero cash flow deals. It's because they care about the tax benefits, not the cash flow. Again, these are the other things you need to understand so that you know how to talk to potential investors. Now, this calculator has everything you need to underwrite creative deals, and I'll give it to you for free. Just go to creativefinancingcalculator.com. All I ask in return is you leave a comment and say, "Thanks, Jerry, for the free calculator. You are a flipping creative genius." Now, one other thing I want to mention before step 8 is since this was an on-market deal, there was an agent involved, and one of the reasons why Chris was able to negotiate such a great deal is because he followed my double dip technique. That means Chris went directly to the listing agent representing the seller and offered to let that agent also represent him in the transaction. By doing that, the agent doubled her commission and was motivated to help us put together a great deal. And just to clarify, when an agent represents both parties, that is technically called dual agency. But in the state of Florida, dual agency is illegal. But what is legal is to be a transaction broker. A transaction broker is when the agent does not represent either party, but rather represents the deal. The point is to not come with buyer representation and let the listing agent have both sides. That's the double dip technique, and it works brilliantly when wholesaling on market. Now, to help you know what to say and how to overcome objections, be sure to get my agent scripts. I'll give them to you for free. Just go to agentofferscripts.com for the free download. Okay, step 8 is to package and advertise your deal so that you can market it to buyers. You'll want to make sure you have really good pictures. A video walkthrough is really good. Rental comps, the financial breakdown, and anything and everything that might be helpful for a buyer to make an educated decision. Put all of that in a Google Drive folder. Now, this is a screenshot of a new creative wholesale deal with Chris posted on a Facebook group that just went pending. Look at how well he advertised this deal. It says, "I have a sweet, fully furnished Panama City beach house, subject to and hybrid, ready for assignment that can also be turned into a duplex that grossed $75,000 last year on Airbnb." Okay, so he highlighted some of the best features about the deal. Then he included a breakdown of the terms. Look at this. Purchase price, sub-2 loan balance, interest rate on sub-2 loan, PITI on the first, seller financing on the remaining equity, and so on and so on. Then there's a link to the Google Drive folder. Now, this post here has the information the buyer would need to make a decision. By the way, since this is a sub-2 and a seller finance combo deal called a hybrid, there's a lot going on, and it would be a great deal to break down. If you'd like to see that, leave a comment and let me know. Step 9 is to hire a transaction coordinator or a TC. Now, a TC will handle all of the paperwork and communication between seller, agent, buyer, and title company. It's one of the best jobs to outsource so that you can focus on marketing and sales and getting another deal. A really cool hack strategy is to get your buyer to pay for the TC. What you do is you add a clause in your assignment contract that says buyer agrees to pay a TC fee of $495. And step 10 is once a buyer comes forward, get a significant non-refundable earnest money deposit, verify he has the entry fee, and execute an assignment contract just like you would with a regular wholesale deal and close and get paid. And that's exactly what we did with this deal and made a whopping $23,000 assignment. Now, to help you get your first or next creative deal, be sure to download my free creative finance guide. Just go to creativefinancingHacks.com. One final thought is whether it's on market or off market, generating creative leads requires no additional work. Watch this next video where I explain how to convert your rejected low cash offers into successful creative offers, and I'll see you on the next video.